A Florida Republican is going to prison for fraud. Joe Harding, who sponsored the controversial Don't Say Gay law, has been sentenced to prison for fraud. In March, Harding pleaded guilty to one count each of wire fraud, money laundering, and making false statements, and he fraudulently obtained a $150,000 COVID relief loan, according to a statement by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Florida. Now, that those charges could have potentially landed him in prison for 20 years, but lucky for him, he was sentenced to only 4 months in a federal prison, as well as 2 additional years of supervised release. Now, Harding was also ordered to pay restitution for the fraudulently obtained loan and is scheduled to surrender to authorities to begin serving his sentence on January 29th. So this man is a crook, a thief, and also a bigot, because he had sponsored the controversial bill that was signed into law last year by Governor Ron DeSantis that bars classroom instruction about sexual orientation and gender identification, because apparently he and the Republican Party of Florida, as well as the Republican Party all over the country, thinks that that's the real problem. But not, COVID theft, using the Paycheck Protection Program, because there's been a massive amount of fraud in that program, and yet Republicans are so concerned about, transgender people in schools, for example. Banning trans people in sports. I mean, they're worried about things that don't even happen, too. Like a book turning someone gay. That's not a real thing. So they're not even, concerned with things that are happening, while at the same time, things that are really happening or have happened, unscrupulous people taking advantage of federal programs, the Paycheck Protection Program specifically, and doing massive amounts of fraud, not worried about it. Nope. Now, Harding was accused of using false bank statements for 2 small businesses to obtain loans during the pandemic. Harding had lied and told the Small Business Administration that one of the companies that he had 4 employees and made $420,874 in revenue, while the other 2 had employees and $392,000 in revenue, according to authorities. Of course, the truth is he had no employees. The businesses in question were dormant, and for him, though, he took the money that was meant to prevent people from losing their jobs during the pandemic and stuffed it in his pocket. Part of what he was trying to do with that money is to pay off credit card debt. What happened? I thought what is it? You take out a loan and you're supposed to repay it. I mean, that's what they tell us all the time when it comes to student loans, for example. You take out that loan, you pay it, right? Well, so wait, credit cards work the same way, right? I mean, you took out that loan, you spent that money. You're supposed to pay it back, right? Oh, no, can't do that. No.
Can't let that happen.
I'm going to go and defraud the government by lying about my businesses in order to pay off a loan that I took and that I spent out of my own personal money. Really. That's what they do. Complete and utter just crook. And look, that's the big takeaway here is not the don't say gay stuff, which again is pretty horrible, right? But the big takeaway here is that he lied and took money that should have went to struggling workers, struggling Floridians and their businesses, because businesses were impacted by COVID. There were, small shutdowns that had happened in Florida, affected a lot of people, right? And that program was supposed to be there to help people keep their jobs. Now, of course, unfortunately, because this program was so broad and not very well administered, because it was under the Trump administration, a lot of companies took the money, stuffed it in their pocket. And then you had people that just flat out lied and did fraud and got all this money. that they thought they were going to get away with. But they didn't, thankfully. But this is what happened. I mean, they took this money for struggling workers and they spent it on themselves, used it for themselves. The fact that he also sponsored an incredibly bigoted bill shouldn't be surprising, because it's pretty clear that he doesn't give a damn about anybody but himself. His own personal profit, his own personal gain, whether it be economically or politically, seems to be the most important thing for this guy. In doing what he did, he didn't care who he hurts, whether it be members of the LGBTQ plus community or working class Floridians. And by the way, a lot of overlap there. Honestly, I think he deserves more than his 4 months. But, I mean, that shows you, in my mind at least, the level of preferential treatment these people get. Straight Republican male. White. Only 4 years when he could have gotten a lot more. So just think about that. Just think about how preferential, the kind of preferential treatment people like him get compared to others.